Well, a very good afternoon and very warm welcome to this week's Lite Bite Lunch. We are running just a couple of minutes late there and we were resolving a couple of little technical issues, but I'm delighted to say we're on the road. And today we're coming to you from the original Clayton Hotel, the Clayton Hotel in Galway, where we're joined by General Manager Rory Fitzpatrick. Rory, thank you so much for coming along. We're absolutely delighted you could spare us a half an hour for a quick chat. Before we get into the ins and outs of everything we want to talk about, maybe you tell us a little bit about your own background. What brought you to hospitality and the trials and tribulations?
Rory, I'm delighted to take the time to do this then as well. It's not often we get an opportunity to take a little bit of time out of the business, sit down, just kind of have a chat then as well about the varying aspects of it. So I do appreciate the opportunity then as well. And I'm particularly pleased about your reference to the original Clayton as well. There's not many people that still remember at one point when, because they've been popping up like mushrooms in the last while, that there was actually one Clayton Hotel and that was this one here as well. So I kind of jest to say that this was the hotel that spawned a group. But, being part of the Lite Hotel Group PLC is one of the reasons why we've been able to be so successful in all the years that we've been open here then as well. In regards to myself, I suppose I'm actually here at the helm of the hotel since 2011. I did my training originally in GMIT or AUT Galway as it is now. And I did a diploma in hotel and catering management that had large tranches of work placement, which I did within Ireland in Mount Juliet, and then also international in Germany in the Black Forest. From there, I quickly moved on to I did two hotel openings in a row. One, the Kilkenny River Court Hotel back in '99, I think it was. And then I moved to London and I joined the Jury's Dial team over there to open a hotel in the West End. From there, really, the rest is history. I moved through a couple of other Jury's Hotels properties before I ended up coming back to Ireland in 2006. The Quality Hotel Wexford, my first general manager role. That then very quickly was bought over by the Lite when it was founded in 2007 by my previous employers, Pat McCann and Steve McNally, the founders of the company, and they rebranded it as the Maldron, and from there I came to the Clayton then as well. So I suppose that's a quick snapshot of how I got through to here. So a roundabout way I've come back to Galway again as well.
No, absolutely. And what was it that actually attracted you to hospitality to begin with?
Well, I suppose there was, like most people, I suppose, young people, I got a job part-time in a local bar in Waterford, where I'm from. And when I went to college first in Tralee, I was pursuing something different, and I got another part-time job down there. And I suppose I just kind of fell into it. And I moved to Galway prior to starting in college, whatever year it was, 96 or so like that. It just seemed like a natural fit. The opportunity came up to apply again for this then as well. I went for it. I was really attracted by that mix of work experience, work placement, that it's not just straightforward all academic then as well. And that has led me on to greater things then as well. I've continued on with further education since then as well. Completed a master's with the Irish Management Institute a few years ago then as well, and looking to continue on adding more experiences, I suppose, and learning opportunities as I go along.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the main things that I wanted to chat with you about today, a lot of people are in general conversations are saying, why are hospitality giving out about this VAT increase? Hotels are really well paid, etc., etc., etc. But the reality is your overheads are flying up, and where a lot of people talk about it's only 4.5%. In reality, for any hospitality business, it's actually a 50% increase in their VAT bill. So, how big an impact do you feel that's going to have on the business, on tourism, just on people even going out to have a quick night away?
Well, it's a very current topic because obviously it's changing tomorrow now, the 1st of September then as well. And I must admit, I have mixed feelings and approaches about this whole thing because it does impact the business in different ways. I'm long enough in the business to remember pre-VAT down at 9%, the very first time it happened. And then it came back in again. Of course, it was reduced for COVID, one of the key government supports that we enjoyed over those few years. And I would have been involved through the Irish Hotels Federation in campaigning for its extension each time that it was due to come up for review over the COVID period. Now, this time around, it is slightly different. So from a hotelier point of view, a hotelier that has enjoyed crucial support from the government over the last couple of years, the last few years of the COVID pandemic in particular, without which I'm not sure we would have really seen as many businesses come through. Now, I know a lot didn't, so there's no one size fits all. And I guess the problem with something like the VAT is it treats everybody the same.
Yes.
And so whether you're a large company like a part of a multinational PLC like we are, or whether you're a small family-owned pub, restaurant, bar, hospitality business then as well, it's a very broad stroke and it does impact people in different ways. So I'm very conscious like that. I can't speak for all those other people then as well, which puts me into whole two minds about it then as well. Because of the supports that we've enjoyed with the government and the fact that this extension or this revision of the VAT rate to 13.5% has been very well flagged by the government. We have managed to, I suppose, get our ducks in a row and prepare for this coming then as well. I do believe at the same time, though, that perhaps the 9% VAT is probably the right VAT rate for the industry rather than going back up to the 13.5%. The arguments that we would have had for extending this in the past then as well was that we were at 9% in line with our European competitors and so on like that then as well. And it's not that any of that has changed, but fundamentally, I suppose the government has been good to the industry. It is a time where prices are rising because costs are rising. That's the other thing. It's difficult to see why it makes sense to do it now, given that we're in this high inflation environment. So that makes it difficult to assume that it won't have any other impact on inflation, and I think it will have, because
it's going to have a huge impact on inflation. There's no question about that.
It's a consumer tax. It will be passed on. Now, to a certain extent, we'll probably absorb some of those cost increases, but for a large part, it will be passed on. That will have a direct impact on the consumer then as well. And they'll feel it when they go out to bars, restaurants, or staying in hotels then as well. But At the same time, I suppose we can't really get into this cycle where every few months we're constantly campaigning to retain something that was brought in as a temporary measure. I think perhaps there is need for a wider assessment of this for future budgetary years to see whether we can bring this more in line with the European norm.
Yeah.
And it will allow us to get away from this kind of this cycle of constant campaigning for it all the time now as well. Look, it will have an impact, but
Absolutely. But I mean, you also have to look at the fact that it's well and good saying you can absorb part of it, but your raw ingredients for your meals, your cost of laundering, all of these are going up as well. So, I mean, there's only so much can be absorbed before the prices start becoming just unachievable.
yeah, I mean, we are already in an environment where the last couple of years in particular have been marked by very pronounced cost rising across the board. Everybody's aware of this, and whilst the growth of inflation might have softened a little of late as to what it was this time last year then as well, prices are still increasing. And moving into the winter then as well, we are likely to continue to see continued energy prices pushing up then as well, and everything else that goes with that. I mean, if you think about the suppliers, farmers, agricultural, who had to pay inflated costs for fertilizers last year to increase those crops, they're going to have to continue recovering those prices in the years to come then as well. So this is not just a flash in the pan. It's not a phenomenon that's going to go away then as well. And that does restrict our ability to absorb a lot of those price increases then as well. At the same time, though, we do know and we do realize that we have to remain competitive.
Yes.
If we're continually going to keep on increasing prices in line with that inflation rate, it's very quickly going to make us not a valid way to spend money.
It's not sustainable for hotels to keep increasing. Now, I think you're probably luckier than most being part of a large chain when it comes to getting the right staff in, and staff who, like, one of the things, we've been here since yesterday, and every staff member we've met wants to be here, likes to be here, and is very happy to be here, which is always lovely to see in a hotel. And is part of the secret with Clayton, because it's such a big chain and because of the opportunities that exist for people within the chain, is that part of what makes that attractive? Is it, have you some magic formula that when they come through the door?
I wish I had, because then at least I know we could do it all the time and we wouldn't experience the ups and downs and peaks and troughs of labour availability and shortages. No, and you're very good to comment on the staff that you've encountered so far. It's really important. I mean, this is a people-based business and people dealing with people, and we really do value our employees and put a lot of priority and emphasis on how we engage with and help our employees develop in the group. So it is absolutely crucial to our success, our involvement and as part of Dalata Hotel Group PLC, and its overarching focus and emphasis on people. I mean, people are a cornerstone of what we're about then as well, and our focus on improving the working environment and the lives of our employees whilst they're here with us at work as well. It's a thing that makes the key. But Rory, I have to say, last year it was really, really difficult. Last year, 2022, was probably the most difficult year that we had within, say, that COVID cycle of years then as well. And even comparing to those times where we had the forced lockdowns and all the different measures where we could only open to minimum numbers and so on like that then as well. Last year, we had the lifting of the majority of restrictions. We had this incredible pent-up demand
Yeah.
within society and within domestic market in particular, like then as well. And people very rightly wanted to go back out and experience a lot of what they missed before then as well. Like, yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have those same numbers of staff to service a lot of that business came along. Like, so it was really, really difficult. This, I suppose, mass resignation like that happened globally really over COVID. We were still caught in the tails of that then as well. A particular logistical issue we had was a lot of our staff would come from the colleges, and GMIT is a great source of our employees, and likewise in UIG. They weren't on campus last year for the first half of the year then as well. Like, so that made things extremely difficult for us to be able to track people in.
Yes.
Now, when the colleges returned in September, when they actually returned in person, it made a big difference in terms of availability of staff. We were able to get people on board. We were able to kind of put a bit of foundation on it towards the end of the year and start building back towards it. But last year was very, very difficult in terms of matching our service with the demand that was out there then as well. Like, yeah, this year, I won't say it's completely different kettle of fish, like, but the issue of labour shortages is nowhere near as acute as it was last year.
Yeah.
It's gone back to more traditional models of you sort out one area and then another area kind of pops up as a problem. Like, but you might have a shortage of a chef and cause a bit of a panic. We manage to get a chef, like, but then everything else is okay.
In that case, is it time to look at going back to the likes of the jury inns method of working, whereby you take on staff, and there was no such thing as you work in such a department. Everyone works everywhere as a team together, and is that where hospitality needs to go back to?
Well, there's a lot of value in that then as well. And if we look at our F&B assistants, because that's what they're, our food and beverage assistants, if they come in on board with us then as well, they work across a variety of F&B departments, whether it's banqueting, whether it's restaurant, whether it's bar, whether it's coffee dock, or so on like that then as well. So we have a lot of that interaction and interdepartmental work anyway then as well. But I suppose Jury's Inn would have modelled at the time with their guest service staff, the GSS staff, like they would have had people on doing food and beverage, maybe serving breakfast and then going up cleaning rooms and stuff like that then as well. Like, yeah, now we haven't mandated that. We absolutely have had people, and at times where we've had F&B staff go up and help housekeeping, and we've had housekeeping come down and help us at breakfast then as well. So, but it's in a more informal arrangement. It's a kind of, right, what does it take to just get the show on the road and get moving as well? And I suppose that is one of the things I think that people enjoy when they're working in the industry then as well, like that they get to do different things as well.
I mean, there is that great camaraderie, and I mean, in relation to the chain itself, I'm absolutely delighted that this year's Micro Business Awards is in another collaborative property, the Clayton Hotel Clayton White's Hotel in Wexford. So just make a quick mention about that. Yes, indeed. We are coming to the end of the announcements for the Micro Business Awards. This is your very, very, very last chance. If you want to book tickets, you just drop an email to microbusinessawards@gmail.com with the subject tickets. They're priced €90 each, and you get a great night out. I did promise when I did a post earlier for the awards that we would announce who the finalists in the People's Choice are, who the top three are, and of course the winner will be announced on the 21st of October in Whites. So I'm just getting them coming through to me here on the machine now. So the top three, and the winner will be announced, as I said, at the awards, is Jackie Fox Coco's Law, Divine Gallery of Crafts, and Abbeville Veterinarian Pet Hospital. So they are who the three finalists in the People's Choice are. We are looking forward to seeing you all at the awards. And until then, we'll talk more after the awards. So we have an inquiry question there. How has Airbnb and so short-term rentals affected trade?
That's an interesting question, because I saw a thing about Airbnb claiming that they were producing, is it 10% of the tourist accommodation revenue in the country at the moment as well, which is a massive amount then as well. Like, yeah, I guess when Airbnb launched and really started to gather steam then as well, there was much more of a feeling of threat, I suppose, from this entry, because obviously it was disrupting everything that we had there then as well. Like, yeah, in particular, there was student accommodation over the summer months, which was being made available through either Airbnb or through the companies that run the student accommodation like that, and we felt that a lot as a real competitor then as well. Like, but that seemed to have kind of leveled itself off now at the moment. Now I wonder whether the refugee crisis is played a large part in that then as well, of course, because there's quite a lot of accommodation like that is being contracted out to government business then as well. So I genuinely haven't really heard a whole lot about Airbnb of late, but I would imagine that in some parts of the country it is probably more prolific and more demanding and setting the pattern of that accommodation availability, like, than here it is in Galway at the moment.
That's good. Now, Rory, one question that every guest who comes on the show gets asked is, for you, I'm not sure you actually would get time for it when you're working. What is your favourite Lite Bite Lunch?
Well, I tell you what, one of the things that I find as well is great here. Like, I eat in the staff canteen when I'm eating here in work as well. So 5 lunches a week are for the most part are going to be in the staff canteen then as well. Like, yeah, so we leave it up to the chefs entirely to come up with what they give us then as well. It's an area that we've actually invested quite a lot in over the last year then as well, like in refurbishing our staff environment, our back house environment, the changing rooms, the canteen, and regularizing menus and increasing diversity options in there then as well. Like, so, do you know what? One of my favorite things is going up there and seeing what's on there today then as well. Like, there is a menu that they post then as well, and they change on a daily basis. But there's always probably a bit of a surprise dish when you go up then as well. Like, yeah. Outside of that, if I was planning something local, something seasonal, I like growing fruit and veg at home. I do that as well a lot. Like, I mean, so I do try to keep, seasonal and local is very important to me then as well. And in Galway and the West, and Ireland in general, there's some fantastic produce this side of the country as well.
Absolutely agree with you there, no question about it. So, facilities you have here in the hotel. You have a fabulous range of meeting rooms which we're in. You've an absolutely lovely function room, which is one of the possible venues for next year's
It would be an amazing venue for the Micro Business Awards 2024, if I do say so myself then as well. Like, yeah.
You have the bar, you have the coffee shop, you have a lovely restaurant there, you have the fitness centre, the pool. I mean, you have everything for anyone who's trying to escape. And yet at the same time, the number of business people I see passing through in the short time we've been here, like, you seem to be, and there was families checking in with young children last night. So you seem to be very lucky that you have the hotel that has a little bit of everything. Yeah,
and you know what? Very astute observation. It is, and we're very lucky where we're located. Here on the periphery of Galway, besides the Parkmore Business Park, with all the multinational businesses that they have over there then as well, yet only be a stone's throw from downtown Galway. So, yes, a lot of the demand that we get, well, put it this way, so pre-COVID, we would have had a larger proportion of midweek trade coming from the multinationals, the likes of the Boston Scientific, HP, SAP, Medtronic as well, who are all located across the road in Parkmore as well. using these meeting rooms, taking up bedrooms then as well, like, and bar, restaurants, one like that then as well. And we were in balance with a demand over the weekend for leisure guests who want to just come to Galway and use us, the Clayton Hotel Galway, as a base to explore the wider region, Galway City and the West End as well. That, to a certain extent, is still the case there as well. But over COVID, the multinationals tended to kind of retrench because of this the working from home rule. And they're still not back to full office capacities there then as well. Our challenge over the last couple of years was replacing a lot of that demand from smaller domestic business then as well. Now, we've been very successful with that then as well. Very successful with driving business from new companies coming into Galway, new companies on the road then as well, project work. Meeting rooms still aren't quite back at that kind of peak because you don't have that mass of people across the road from us looking for those facilities as well. But it is growing, and our weddings are a huge part of what we do, and the functions and the charity events as well. You reference the ballroom. I mean, it can take 800 people up there, so it's very flexible on what we can do there, like whether there's conferences, events, meetings, fundraisers.
No, absolutely, it is a great space.
Yeah.
Certainly, I can see how it can have so many different
aspects, and we get, and it's part of, I suppose, our appeal is that we do cater for so many different business segments then as well, like, and it's better for us as a hotel, as a business, to stay open to new business with everybody.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just watching the time there, and very quickly, we have another comment from Maggie. First of all, some of us would love to see the Micro Business Awards coming west.
I agree with you, Maggie, 100%. That's I think I don't want to for stole or anything like that, but I think we might have it in the bag, Maggie.
It's a work in progress.
Yeah.
Maggie is actually Mayo Calligraphy and does our certificates for us every year.
Oh yeah, very good, excellent, yeah.
So Maggie's been pushing me to come west for a long
time.
Yeah,
keeping it local, perfect.
Again, I'm only one voice of several, so I'm just the one they send to look at them all. Right, but unfortunately, as I said, time is very quickly catching up on us, and I really appreciate you taking the time. If people want to know more about the hotel, best place is to hit the website.
Yeah, straight ClaytonHotelGalway.ie, like that is our website. That's where you'll find everything on it then as well. You also could go onto the Lado Hotel group. There's a website there that will link to all our properties, whether it's the Clayton, the Mold, and our partner hotels, and as well, because obviously with all the locations we have in Ireland, the UK, and in continental Europe, then as well, there might be an opportunity for people to do business with hotels right across the sphere then as well. And that's something, again, that being part of a large group is really helpful then as well, because other companies don't really have time a lot to go sort of their own accommodation, and if they have to move, if they have to go to Dublin, if they have to go to Cork, if they have to do presentations to other suppliers or other customers, we can help facilitate all those sort of things then as well. But
for us who travel quite a bit, I mean, we have a number of individual properties dotted around the country, where we have set up corporate rates with, because of the times we use it. So absolutely, I mean, using a group corporate rate would certainly be absolutely ideal. Well, I thank you very much for joining us today, Rory. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, when we're going to be joined by Richard Daly, who's the head wood turner at Irish Pens. And until then, we'll bid you all a very good afternoon.